I asked them about 10 minutes ago, can you guys do something? That's a pretty good something. Chris Oldfield, Art Crawford, Daniel Atkinson, Ryan Boschi, Mike Sterling. Where do we go from there? Give us like 30 seconds and we'll really start the concert. Things before we get started formally here. First of all, thank you for coming. I honestly wasn't sure that the people on stage wouldn't outnumber the people in the audience, so it's awesome to see a nice crowd. For those of you that have heard concerts, some of my concerts in the past, which is probably many of you, this is going to be different. Every other time I've stepped out on stage, the music is the last thing I worried about, because I knew we were 100% prepared. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. Perfection is never the aim, but I knew it was going to be something that the kids could be proud of on stage. I have no idea what was going to happen with this. There's 130 people, most of whom, wait, raise your hand. How many of you are active players, still play regularly all the time on the instrument that you have on stage? How many don't? What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, one of the quotes on the front of your program, it says, "'Tis you that are the music, not your song." That's a quote that I heard from an all-county chorus concert, and I really take it to heart. This career has always been not about music, it's about people. This is the song. They don't have to play a note, and this is the song. So sometimes it's about the music, sometimes it's about the people. This one's about the people. We're going to start out with a piece written by Thomas Campello. Does that look like the name? Oh. Joseph, Thomas, whatever. I don't think he's here. But this is a piece called Gypsy Dance. Let's see what happens. Right? I don't understand it either. We got through the first 4 measures yesterday, and I just stopped and said, that's really pretty good. Let's just go home now. Yeah, I don't understand, but I think it certainly is a situation where the whole is greater than the sum of its individual parts. And I told them yesterday, you can't take the musician out of somebody, whether it's an active part or a not active part. I think this touched on something that is deep within all of them. And to be able to do something like that, they have no business being as good as they are right now. I tried to get through all of my concerts. One of my goals before I retired was to retire before I actually needed to wear glasses at a concert. That ship has sailed. There's a font doesn't go big enough. So I'm going to need to do a lot of thank yous today. It's just partly because these guys on stage haven't played in decades. Some of them, their faces are shot already. So I need to give them a chance to rest, and I just need to do these thank yous. So bear with me. There's so many people that are school personnel, that from custodians to administrators to bus drivers to music boosters to Board of Ed to parents, and in many cases families that I got to know, not just individual students but entire families. And last but not least, the lunch ladies who took great care of me for 34 years. Thank you to all the school personnel. Next, I have to thank my band teachers, Bill Percival, Emery McCurr, Jane Fraley, Mike Lester, Dave Unlin, Steve Baxter, Henry Newberg, and Ed Gobrecht. I learned valuable lessons from each of them that helped shape my teaching throughout my career, and a special indebtedness to Jane Fraley. When I was just about to start 6th grade, I told my parents I wanted to quit. I was done. I told these guys finally yesterday I was a horrible practicer. I never practiced. It just wasn't good. They said, you need to give it 2 weeks. It's a new school, a new teacher. Just try it for 2 weeks, and if you don't like it, you can stop. My middle school band director, Jane Fraley, I had 1 lesson and 1 band rehearsal, and I was in. And that changed the course of my life. So I have great indebtedness to Jane Fraley in particular. I was super fortunate always to have successful groups. But all the work that I did over the years with them did not happen in a vacuum. From K-8 general music to the choirs that they sang in, and the lessons and bands that they got with before me, all the HFL music teachers over the years played a big part in the musical lineage of all the students that I worked with and all the students on stage here. So in alphabetical order, Marlene Beckenthal, Kim Frienzi, who's retiring this year, Glenn Call, Brian Casper, Brian Coughlin, Bill Decker, Ken Gould, Ken Cruiser, Milt Mashner, who's also retiring this year, Molly Rossitano, Barb Salter, Christine Sargent, Peggy Snow, Lindsay Simmons, she was my favorite, Monica Stankiewicz, Nancy Sutphin, Karina Teleska, Sue Vanderloo, Andy Vedder, Sheila Williams, and Jan Zesh. You all helped make this evening possible. Special shout out to Ken Cruiser, who went from being one of my feeder program teachers to taking over my position. He's doing an awesome job with the kids at the high school. Also, my periodic roommates who would come one day a week and teach, Kim Brienzi, Bill Decker, Marlene Beckman, they helped work with the high school kids on instruments that they could teach better than I could. And Andy Vetter, my partner for 25 years, who did a great job with our woodwinds and with concert band, and was just a second head in keeping the sanity, or so to speak, of Bandland. So thanks to all those people. And also to my other halves, the high school chorus teachers, Chris Sargent, Jan Zesh, Ken Gould. These are people who I had to work with the most closely to ensure that the whole program was always nurturing, thriving, challenging, growing, and most importantly, meeting the needs of all of our students. These three shared my values, my vision, and my dedication, my passion. So thanks to those, and Ken Gould has given up his whole weekend to help make this thing happen. Chris, Jan, Ken, I'm indebted. Thank you. Next, we're going to play a Frank Ticelli arrangement of the common folk tune Shenandoah. I forgot to recognize at the beginning or the end of the first piece, Kristen Myers, used to be Myers, Kristen Snitzer, Chris Oldfield, Will Meister, Jack Sash, and Lisa Altenberg for their solos. So yay, those guys. All right. The earliest hint that I had that it was time to think about retiring actually happened when I was buying some gang gifts for somebody's birthday. It was a round birthday. I think I was in my mid-30s the first time I did this. My friend was turning 40, so of course I went to the local drugstore and I bought the requisite denture adhesive, Centrum Silver vitamins, nose hair trimmer, etc. And as I was checking out, the young clerk behind the desk looked at me and smiled and said, "Must be someone's special birthday," with a wink. That was fine. About 8 or 10 years later, I did the same thing. Another round birthday, probably I was in my mid-40s, probably somebody's 50th birthday. So I did the same thing. Polygrip, adult diapers, Metamucil, orthopedic shoe inserts. You know the routine. This time I was ready to check out, and the young lady simply says, "I hope you feel better soon, sir." At any rate, I announced that I'd be doing this grad party in the summer of 2019 before my last year of teaching. In August of that year, I put out a general query asking if anyone might be willing to help me plan the event. So in August of that year, I had 6 people show up to a meeting in the band room, some of whom I hadn't seen in years. Well, almost 4 years later, and 25 meetings we've had in that time, we are finally here. So these 6 people helped me flesh out ideas, brainstorm when we hit walls, think of things that I would have forgotten, contact venues and vendors, adjust time and time again to setbacks and delays, and hold my hand literally through anything and everything technical. So after 4 years, I'd like to recognize them and let them know that their time is finally done. They too have graduated. So would these people stand up? We have Kristen Steiner, Allison Fowler, Wendy Matthews, Hannah Apthorpe, Chuck Smith, Cleo, Sarah Jameson. Please stand up with your hats on once again. You guys, this would not have happened without them. All right, next we're going to play Tiger of San Pedro. change things up just a little bit. Again, to give these guys a little bit of a rest and to feature some jazz stuff. So give us a minute, because I want everybody from the stage to come down. Band folks, sit in the sides here. Jazz folks, find your place down front, and we'll continue shortly. All right, thank you for your patience once again as we do a little shifting around. The jazz program here provided some of the most enjoyable and exhilarating moments in my career. With pizza bowling, a festival on the green, 2 Disney trips, the Rochester International Jazz Festival, so many great memories, but none greater than our participation in the Essentially Ellington competitions. We were so fortunate that 6 different times we ended up as national finalists, putting little old Honeywell Falls, Lima, Podunk on the national map, and had the privilege of performing at one of the world's premier performance venues, Lincoln Center in New York City. I still pinch myself that this little community sat shoulder to shoulder with schools from Los Angeles, Miami, Boston, New York City, Houston, Seattle, along with performing arts magnet schools from large cities. Not that we went once, we went 6 times. I could not be more proud. This first tune is actually one of the ones that we used to audition to go to that back in 2000. It's a Clark Terry and Duke Ellington tune called Launching Pad. Solo from Jeremy Levin, CJ Tomaszewski, Art Faluka, Mike Stern, and our trio up front, Chris Oldfield, Kristen Snitzer, and Kobe Corinne Bennett. That was Launching Pad. Next, we're going to do a little vocal tune that features someone that I know a little bit. Yeah, this one here is going to sing a little bit for us. This is my daughter, Amanda. So, yeah, it's my concert. Nepotism is real. You're also going to hear a solo from Jack Sesh on piano. This is Feeling Good.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel.
Check. All right. Before we do our last jazz piece, I'd just like to share a little story about the power of music. This is one that was sent to me by a good friend, Bernie Gardner, who I saw yesterday. I don't know if he's here today. Oh, here he is in the front row. Dang it. But this is a story that he sent me. He's an outstanding coach and worked with so many of these kids. But he always understood the value of music. And he sent me something called The Bagpiper. And I just want to read this. This was mentioned from the bagpiper's point of view. Recently, I was asked by a funeral director to play at a graveside service for a homeless man. He had no family or friends, so the service was about to be at a pauper cemetery in the Kentucky backcountry. As I was not familiar with the backwoods, I got lost, and being a typical man, I didn't stop to ask for directions. I finally arrived an hour late and saw the funeral guy had evidently gone. The hearse was nowhere in sight. There were only the diggers and the crew that were left, and they were eating lunch. I felt badly and apologized to the men for being late. I went to the side of the grave and looked down, and the lid of the vault was already in place. I didn't know what else to do, so I started to play. The workers put down their lunches and began to gather around. I played my heart out and my soul for this man with no family and no friends. I played like I never played before for this homeless man. And as I played Amazing Grace, the workers began to weep. They wept, I wept, we all wept together. And when I finished, I packed up my bagpipes and started for my car. Though my head hung low, my heart was full. As I was opening the door of my car, I heard one of the workers say, "That was incredible. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I've been putting in septic tanks for 20 years. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know, it takes a second, doesn't it? All right, so we're gonna do one more jazz tune for you, then we'll get the large band back together on stage. This is a tune that's gonna feature Jack Sesh once again on piano, Daniel Atkinson on trombone, Will Tomaszewski on trumpet, and Ryan Barsky on some drum stuff at the end. This is Eric Morales, Madrid. Yeah, that was okay for one rehearsal too, so. All right, we're gonna get everybody back up on stage. So if we can kind of do this logically, like if you're a percussionist, or the back couple of rows go first, and then we'll sort of phase on in. And we'll be back with you in just a second. All right, one more, well, second to last chunk of thank yous. And I apologize for reading it, but my brain is just exploding this weekend, so I knew if I didn't write it down, I would say about 3 words and then be lost. So anyway, thank you for your indulgence with me reading here. It's safe to say that I wouldn't be where I am today without growing up in a family where I was surrounded by music. My mom was a music teacher. My dad sang and played euphonium and trombone. All 3 of my sisters shared musical activities with me growing up and continued with music throughout their lives, both professionally and avocationally. My dad, who absolutely loved coming to all of my concerts and always beamed with pride, passed away 16 years ago, or I'm sure he would have been here. But all the rest are here, including my 87-year-old mom and my oldest sister from the Netherlands. I love you, and I thank you for being you. Thanks, family. The commitments of being a music teacher go well beyond the school day, and that was hard for me when my girls were younger. It's my party, and I'll cry if I want to. I missed a lot of weekend and evening time with them, which is why I gave up coaching volleyball, something that I loved. However, as they got older, they were all integrally involved with the school band, and choir, and musical programs, so that time away from them turned into time, precious time with them. Through rehearsals, concerts, solo fests, all counties, area all states, conference all state, trips, musicals, college auditions, and even college performances. I have so much to be thankful for in my career. But the 8 years of seeing my daughters in class every day with me were my favorite. It's not always easy to be the child of a school teacher, and these guys handled it with grace and humor, which they needed. So Kelsey's out here, Emily and Amanda, I love you. At the beginning of 10th grade, I met this cute freshman flute player. In band, of course, and there was an immediate attraction. We got to know each other and hung out a lot through mutual friend groups, roller skating parties, the tennis team, and of course all the band activities. The one time I was not in the pit for a musical, spring of my junior year, I was on stage in the music band and couldn't take my eyes off that same flute player who was playing in the pit that year. We started dating shortly thereafter for about 6 years. After that, we thought we had gone our separate ways, when music again helped bring us together. First of all, a community band was starting up in the late 80s, and I knew that I didn't want to direct it, so I asked her. 35 years later, she's still directing that great community band in town. When a band director position opened up at the Manor School, guess who got the job? I was not allowed in on the interviews. Well, we've been married now for 30 years, and my career would not have been the same without her. I never had to explain why I needed to be gone for all those weekends and evenings. As a fellow music teacher, she always understood. I could always bounce ideas off her, as well as vent when things weren't going well. She was the one person whose opinion I always sought out after each concert. No offense to all you. She was honest, and she was right, and her feedback helped my concerts get better. She's always been there, and I can't imagine this journey without her. I was talking about this party recently with her, and I asked her, Linz, in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine that I'd have over 100 people come back and play in a band for me? And she said, hon, you're not in my wildest dreams. I love you. House lights. With that, we'll play the Witch and the Saint. You can guess which part I play. Last set of thank yous, I promise. I went into teaching, I'm sure somewhat due to the fact that my parents were both teachers, but I also thought I'd be decent at it and that it would be enjoyable. But you never really know until you get out into doing it what it will actually be like. I started out in a little town in Cortland County called Cincinnati when I was 21 years old, and to be honest, I wasn't sure that I had made the right choice. The first year, like anyone's first year anywhere, I think, was hard. I was looking into different career options, but decided to stick it out for one more year. And the connections that I made in the 2 years with my students at Cincinnati convinced me that this was the right path for me. I even have 3 of them here today from Cincy, so just a quick applause for my Cincy fellows. My mantra, even though it took me a while to quantify it, was always aim high, enjoy the ride. It's on the t-shirts, it's on the program. I always pushed for high standards for my students, but never wanted that to come at the expense of joy and fun. If you can't be joyful, expressive, and emotive while making music, you're kind of missing the point. And if you can't enjoy the company of the people that you're around most of the time, and for me, it was my bands and my beloved volleyball teams, then your life will simply not be as fulfilled. But I also wanted to show the kids the path to excellence every day. So I basically wanted to have my cake and eat it too. Wanted the best of both worlds. And that really all comes down to connections. I remember an administrator came to me on my 30th birthday and said, "You've turned 30, the great emancipator." I didn't really know what she meant. She was a lot smarter than me. But she explained that now that I was out of my 20s, I had the freedom to be more separated from my students. My first thought was, maybe that's why you went into administration. I did wonder and worry a little that I would start to lose those connections. I kept waiting while sticking to my daily mantra, as well as my desire to create memories and striving for rehearsals and practices that were both productive and entertaining. Sometimes you have to be a good storyteller, but the real key, I think, is to be a story listener. That's how you connect. I was blessed that that separation that was touted by the administrator never really happened. From graduation parties to students coming back to visit from college, to graduates knocking on my door at home to ask if I could come and play ultimate frisbee with them, to wedding invitations, countless lunches at the pizza place, right up to my last great graduating class during COVID, when one final request was to join them for a foursome of golf. I have loved getting to know my students, not just as students, but as people. When I got into this career, I hope that I can make a difference for at least a few of them. I'm truly humbled by this weekend, by this. Great treasured former students coming from 21 states and the District of Columbia, in part, I'm sure, to see their friends, but in part to reconnect with their old coach, their old band director. Thank you all, from the bottom of my heart, for 36 years of intrinsic rewards and a treasure trove of memories that will last a lifetime. Please know I love you and you have made a difference in my life. We have one more piece for you. As my dad always said, it wouldn't be a concert without a march. This is Stars and Stripes Forever.
So for the second time this evening, Mark's worst nightmares are coming true. The first was when they interviewed me for the news earlier, and now it's when they gave me a live mic. So I'm sorry, but not really. You gotta stay there, I gotta go over there, and I need 30 seconds to get some props ready. Just deal with it. All right, so for those that don't know me, my name is Chuck Smith. I'm a class of 1997, and I only had him for 3 years because I didn't move into the district until my sophomore year. So these folks all had like, what is that? I'm not good at math. It's either a third or 25%, like more of them. I don't know, somewhere in there. So anyways, where to begin with this? Probably the best place is fall of 2019 when we started planning this thing. When we first got together, and then something called a pandemic happened. I don't know. But anyhow, through all of those postponements, we're finally here, and that's awesome. As I already alluded, if I can give you a glimpse into Mark's head right now, is he already looked up at the booth? He's really hoping that Ken has technical difficulties right now. So I'm normally one to not prep these talks. I'm a music teacher, so talking at concerts is second nature to me. But considering that this is going to be posted, on somebody's Snapgram, Face Chat, or Instabook, probably within the next hour, I figure I shouldn't embarrass myself too much. Mark, your situation's different. I don't mind embarrassing you. In talking with folks from his entire career over the last 4 decades, over the last 2 days that we've spent together, seeing Facebook posts, reading what people have sent is their fondest memories on a Google form that we put together. I've gotten some pretty good material to work with. But today I'm not here to talk about that stuff. Today's not the day to share with all of you that at one point Mark led a burping contest. Today's not the day to bring up that after multiple reminders to students to make sure they packed certain things for a trip, didn't forget anything. I was on that trip, I remember this vividly. He forgot his baton. And throughout that whole thing, he figured, what am I going to do? So he created a contest, and Baton 2.0 was born. And that baton from 1996, a chunk of kite dowel and a big pen cap and probably $8 worth of whiteout was given away in yesterday's legacy grab bag. So it's still here, and it's still alive. But that doesn't change the fact that we brought our stuff and you forgot something. But today's not the day for that. Today's not the day to bring up that working under the belief of ask forgiveness, not permission. In 2011, you made your entrance for Oklahoma on an actual horse. To my understanding, that's an event that I believe it was the superintendent spoke with you and asked if he had permission, and he said, well, no, you might have said no. And last I checked, there's a stain somewhere around the third trombones. They're still trying to figure out if it's spit valve leftovers or if it's the horse. Somewhere back there. And certainly today is not the day to bring up the picture of Lars, a male underwear model whose picture would show up inside of his scores at times. It is my hope and prayer for each and every person in this auditorium that our final piece, Stars and Stripes, does not turn into Stars and Strips. There are countless other things that I could bring up, but today's not the day for that. Although I'm going to take advantage of it. Over the last 48 hours, Mark kept saying it's about us, it's about the people, it's about reconnecting, it's about making one more memory. From a casual gathering at OK Beer Friday night that went almost 2 hours longer than planned, rehearsals yesterday, meet and greets for anyone not playing in the band from his volleyball teams, a pizza party last night, playtime at the park this morning, all of the side conversations folks have had outside of the planned events, and of course this concert. I think it's fair to say that this weekend we have made one hell of a memory. I would venture to guess that the experience I had this weekend is a similar experience that many have had. I don't feel like I came back for a reunion weekend or concert with a great band director. Sure, that was the plan, but for me, that's not what happened. I was simply back in your band room, back in a regular rehearsal, back in the everyday life of an HFL Cougar going to band. Simply put, I was home. These are just a few of the memories that your former students have shared. Thank you for not only pursuing excellence in what you do and encouraging others to do the same, but for being compassionate, lending a listening ear to your students when they needed it. Thanks for setting an excellent example for all of us to follow in how to care for others and in how to have fun while we do the best of our ability. From another, you pushed me to try out for Empire State Games, which I ended up making. With that confidence, I joined a club team in Rochester and then made the leap to D1 college volleyball at Ohio State. During my career, I played in the U.S. Olympic Festival and the NCAA Final Four. From a former student, now parent, it is my fervent wish that my children find their Mr. Borden in their educational path. Whatever subject that may be for them, they would be blessed beyond measure. And from another, whenever life gets especially crazy, I always think of Mr. Borden and take a moment to lie in the grass and watch the clouds go by. It was the most valuable homework assignment I ever received. Before we started rehearsals yesterday, as a fellow music teacher, I was concerned as well. Not so much for jazz, since most of those players majored in music and are still actively playing, but for the concert band. You chose some pretty solid literature. You chose some pretty good literature. Stuff I don't know that I would have picked if I were in your shoes. For folks that hadn't picked up a horn in years and for some decades. You shared with us that you had absolutely no expectations for what this was going to sound like. I was impressed, I think everybody was, and that's a testament to what you taught us over the years. Mark, you opened up the floodgates yesterday talking about your philosophies, your beliefs about teaching. What you said, though, we already knew. We lived it. You didn't teach music. You taught people. The music was the vehicle. For a career, you were a teacher, but that title just isn't enough. I spent a lot of time thinking of a title that would adequately describe you, and there just isn't a word for it. You're a teacher, coach, mentor, friend, confidant, and so much more. HFL was filled and is filled with great teachers, but you're not the same nor cut from a different piece of cloth. You met each and every one of us where we were, You gave us the tools to take the black and white on the page and turn it into a beautiful story filled with emotion and passion. It's easy for you to say you only got out of us what was already there. Reality is it went so much further than that. You were the farmer who tended the field and cared for the plants, knowing what each needed to grow into something beautiful. Without you, there's a good chance many of us would still simply be a seed waiting to germinate. You and only you are the reason that we are all here today. You cultivated in us a love for music, for excellence, and for most importantly, a love for each other. One person here today said on Facebook that they were living their own Mr. Holland's Opus this weekend. And it's true. The only difference is you got me to talk and not the governor. Get it. Growth mindset, right? At school. Get it. Not the governor, get it. Mr. Gordon, for 4 decades, you shared in the joy and triumphs of your students. You were there to help us work through the shortcomings and give us a hug if we didn't quite make the cut. We would not be the people we are today without you. I'd like to invite Lindsay up for this next part. As a music teacher, I know how packed the calendar can be at times. Mark alluded to a lot of that earlier, especially at the high school level. Music in Our Schools Month performances, musical week, concert week, solo fest, all-state weekends, the list goes on. It takes us out of our homes for a great deal of extra time and it causes us to rely on our other halves to pick up what we normally do. Lindsay, thanks for being there for Mark, and by extension there for all of us. Mark, you retired in 2020. We all know how that school year ended. The senior class in every school that year lost out on so many things that you wait for until senior year. You didn't get your final concert at school or to share in the graduation of your students that year. Today we're going to kind of change that a little bit. I know, this is where it gets really, he's really wondering what's going on. I've asked Melissa Price, Lindsay Cody, Riley Wall, and Anna Carter from the class of 2020 to help with the next part and to share in a graduation. So, Mark, today is your graduation day, so if you can go stage left and get dressed. Mark, today's your graduation with the help of your seniors that are here from 2020. Right? Band, you're going to help me out. I know you don't know this yet, but you literally just turned into a chorus. We're going to sing Pomp and Circumstance. Okay? So, in a moment, we're going to do that. Out of courtesy for all of our graduates today, we ask that you hold your applause until names for the entire row have been read. A recent Harvard study has shown that the applause for an individual member of each row is inversely related to their overall high school GPA. So anyhow, okay, if we can start singing Pomp and Circumstance, that part ready, and Ben Cisco, Catherine Janeway, Jean-Luc Picard, James Tiberius Kirk. Now they're still in detention for failing U.S. history. Mark Bordo. By the power vested in me by all of your former students and the fact that I'm the one with the live mic right now, I pronounce you a graduate with all the rights and privileges pertaining. You may move your tassel from the right to the left.
about the people. This was all about the people, but the music was pretty good too. So, let's go have a fully truck over there.